What's up, guys? It's Lord Both here for another video, and it's been a fairly slow middle to end of the week in terms of movie, TV, and video game news, and I was getting a bit worried about having something to make a video about. That is at least something that I actually care about to make a video about. Because no, I do not care what Rachel Brosnahan, Lois Lane's husband, feels about him being cucked by Superman. Nor do I care about some catboy and him clearly cheating at Battlefield 6 in a video that he posted and everybody's reaction to said video of him clearly cheating. No, instead I actually saw something posted that was pretty newsworthy that other people haven't really latched onto yet or seen yet, and I thought I'd talk about it because it's another case of them finding something within your childhood to absolutely ruin. Just when you think Hollywood and Disney especially have ran out of properties to find and destroy from your childhood, they drag another one up. And this is one I honestly thought was at least obscure enough that they wouldn't touch. But I was wrong about that as well. But this comes to us from Screen Time on Twitter X, and it states, Cool Runnings 2 is reportedly in development at Disney with an all-female bobsled team. Couple things right off the bat here. First, why? Why? Nobody has ever asked for a Cool Runnings 2. In fact, we typically like our sports underdog movies to be one-offs, with things like Rocky or The Mighty Ducks, or hell, even Air Bud, being the massive exceptions to those rules, with varying degrees of success, of course. But this is like people going out and being like, hey, we want a Rudy 2. Nobody's asking for that. It doesn't even make sense. Secondly, and this part of the statement kind of made me think that the entire story was BS, was that it's an all-female bobsled team cast. Because when I read that, I was like, no, that can't be true. Disney knows that's way too on the nose at this point. There's just been too many movies in Hollywood that's been male characters or male teams that have been completely replaced by all-female teams or all-female casts, or a female character replacing a traditional male character, even if that's legacy, like the girl's supposed to be his kid or something. People just aren't down with it anymore. The problem is there's actually some grounds in truth that they could make that storyline with this bobsled team. Because this article comes to us from Dexter2, and it is entitled, Cool Runnings 2 should be based on this true story. The article states, according to a Hollywood insider, Cool Runnings 2 is in development at Disney, and there's already the perfect true story for the sequel's plot to cover. With streaming services completely rebuilding the entertainment business, marking a sharp decline in cinema sales, studios are far likelier to bet on established IPs. As such, reboots and sequels are hot property now, whether we like it or not. I think audiences have pretty much well established they don't like it, and the market is way oversaturated with that kind of content. Trying to bet on sure things that are already established rather than taking risks on something new and having a lot larger payoff, even if that larger payoff doesn't necessarily mean that the movie breaks even at the box office. Something like F1 is an example there. At least F1 as a movie now leaves a cultural impact, at least in some way, differently than how, say, Superman ever could, despite the fact that James Gunn seems to think that Superman is in the same vein as F1 in that Superman can not break even and the movie and franchise be completely okay. But the truth is, it's not. Because at this point, it's not an original idea, and interest in subsequent movies will probably decline rather than incline, while a sequel to F1 will probably increase in interest. Nevertheless, the article states Disney is one of the biggest leaders in this trend, whether it's the constant stream of live-action remakes or endless superhero and Star Wars content. Yeah, I think we've also established that's not necessarily a good thing for them. It hasn't worked out well for them financially. They continue to lose money hand over fist with every project they put out that is in the MCU since Endgame or Star Wars. constantly turning out content has decreased the value and rarity of their content, while also increasing the workload to keep up with continuity, and thus audiences have continued to lose interest. And that's not even getting into the actual quality of the movies or TV shows. From the actual physical looks of the movie, CGI, costuming, sets, etc., the plot and story of the movie, which is either extremely convoluted, nonsensical, seems to be cut and spliced together all over the place, and oftentimes has political and social agenda woven into the storytelling. But despite all those aforementioned problems, apparently Disney still thinks it's a good idea to make a Cool Running sequel because, as the article states, according to scooper Daniel Rickman, the studio is developing Cool Runnings 2 with an all-female bobsled team. If confirmed, this opens up the opportunity to tell the incredible true story of Jamaican national women's bobsled team. This is where we get to the actual story that has some grounds to be told. Although the team was first formed in the early 2000s, a new group was established in 2014 with the lineup including Natalia Stokes, daughter of Nelson Christian Chris Stokes, and niece of Dudley Stokes, two of the original members whose stories were told in Cool Runnings. Apparently, the female Jamaican bobsled team made history when at the Pyeongchang 2018 Winter Olympics, they became the first women's Jamaican bobsled team group at the event. Now, I'm sure the details of the story when it comes to the difficulties and challenges faced by the group were in some ways different than the original Jamaican bobsled team, but at the core premise, it's the same story. Underdog team that nobody believes in, that is the first from their country, that doesn't necessarily have the environment for the sport, has a dream to get together and compete in the sport, and maybe even, just even, do well. And because despite the fact that there is a true story behind this actual team, and I'm sure it has its own merits to be told, even if it is told and told well, audiences are not going to be hot to it. Because audiences have been spoiled on the girls replacing the guys in everything sports and action for nigh on a decade now. If this movie was made in 2005, hell, if it was made in 2015, it probably would get a good reception even on streaming, which I'm assuming this is going to be a direct-to-streaming movie. It's not exactly like the original Cool Runnings was lighting up the box office back when it came out, okay? But even then, even less people are going to care about it because it's going to be shoved into the corner of the girl boss trope and everything that goes along with it. And it's a shame because it seems like this story could actually be a victim of The Boy Who Cried Wolf, or in this case, The Boy Who Cried Woke, and we actually lose out on a good sports story just because so many previous works of fiction have ruined it for them. But those are just my thoughts on all this. If you have your own thoughts, go and leave them in the comments. If you liked this video, go and like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like this video, appreciate you watching all of it, and we'll talk to you again later.